because always record everything. Pro tip I learned from Miss Robin Euclid. And let's go ahead and get started. So if you're just popping on a few minutes late, no worries. We're going to start for a moment or a few moments in a seated meditation. So find yourself in a comfortable seat. I do recommend sitting in hero's pose, Virasana, which means I'm sitting back on my heels on a yoga block. I personally like to do block blanket combo, so that's what I'm going to set myself up, but you can set yourself up on a block, on a pillow, and if you don't have any of those things and you have a chair nearby, a chair that's at a right angle, that can be a really nice thing to sit at as well. So get yourself comfortable, pull the flesh away from your sitting bones so that you can really sit up on yourself. You're not rounding back or arching too far forward. And then rest your palms on your thighs. Go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Open up your mouth, let it go. Two more like that. Big breath in. Complete breath out. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Continuing with this deep conscious breath. Just allow yourself to drop into the present moment. Drop into the here and now, wherever that might be for you. I know most of us are at homes or we are at temporary homes. So maybe imagine zooming out, seeing the whole world in your mind's eye, and then dropping in to your state, to your city or town, to your neighborhood or street, to your house, your apartment, your condo or your hotel room or wherever you are. And just allow yourself to drop into this body right here, right now. Taking a few breaths to let go of whatever happened earlier today. Taking a few breaths to let go of whatever may or may not be on your agenda for tonight. And for the next hour, allowing yourself to be here now. Be right here, right now. And right here, right now. And right here, right now. Taking the next few moments to scan your physical body and just acknowledge how you're showing up to this class today. If there's any tension or tightness in your physical form, notice that, not staying stuck on it, but just honoring that that's where you are today. If there's any emotions or energy that you feel in yourself, noticing that as well. Again, not getting stuck on any one thing, just allowing it all to be part of you and your experience. Taking one more breath in here. And one more breath out. And on your next breath, reach your arms up. Open your eyes back up. Maybe we have a few new people joining us. Welcome. Take a good stretch. Just stretch side to side. You can grab onto opposite thumbs. That feels good to have a little tension there. And then we're going to come on to all fours. So move whatever props or pillows or blankets that you had and come on to all fours. How is the volume? Can everyone give me a little thumbs up? Just making sure you can hear me okay. Good. Great. I can see you on the iPad. Technology is awesome. Technology is awesome. So setting up in all fours, and this is a really beautiful part about being set up like this, you can see me from the side, and maybe you can even see a new version or a new view of yourself that you wouldn't normally see in an in-person yoga class. This is not going to be the same as a yoga class at your local studio or gym, but let it be different and let it be have a different experience that you can learn from. So maybe you can see yourself in your video, and we're setting up at right angles here. So your hips are right over your knees and your shoulders are right over your wrists. If you have a yoga block or a book nearby, you can place that up against your thigh and up against your forearm to measure out. You can do that with a book too. And you can also use your video. You can, if you're to one side, you can see that you're really set up at right angles. This puts you in joint space, which is the safest place to move from. Find all four corners of your palms beneath you. So notice if you're putting your weight in the heels of the hands or in the knuckles of the hands, and find all four corners and plug in. And then find all four corners of your feet, which maybe is a little bit more difficult, and press down through the shoelace side of your foot. From here, from this really stable, plugged in place, as you inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart, look up. And as you exhale, coil and round, press the floor away, press your mat away, round your spine, look in. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart, look up. Exhale, coil and round, moving through your cat and cow. And then start to go at a little bit quicker pace. So instead of it being a cat and a cow, it is a cat, cow, cat, cow, cat, cow. And there's some movement. You can really start to fire it up, kick your own butt, making it yourself go a little bit faster. And it can feel a little bit agitating. That's kind of the point here. Maybe like me, you've been inside most of the day. So let this be a little bit of a cardio workout. Maybe it doesn't feel like a normal cardio workout, but really start to speed it up. So you can go fast. You can let your hair whip back and forth. I have these beautiful little pigtails, so my hair is not flying, but yours might be if you have long hair, and that's okay. Go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in, drop your belly, look up. And then exhale, coil and round. Come back to a neutral spine. And then you'll flip your right wrist all the way around 180 degrees. So the heels of the hands should still line up. So you can look down and see that the heels of the hands lined up, that you didn't move that arm way forward or way back. And then start to take circles around your right wrist. So let's all go clockwise to begin. And then imagine that you could go all the way around the clock face. Noticing if there is an hour or period of time that it's really easy for you to miss or skip over. If you've had any wrist, shoulder, or elbow injuries, this might be particularly difficult for you, but it's actually really good because you're cleaning up the joint and you're teaching it how to move in all different directions. So switch directions. If you are going clockwise, go counterclockwise, and then let's all look forward. Look forward. Hopefully I'm out in front of you, but if there's something else out in front of you, look at it, smile at it. Imagine that that right collarbone is moving out towards its own side. And then come back through center, flip the palm around, plug it right back in. Don't shake it out, just plug it in. If you shake something out, it's like you drew a beautiful picture on an Etch-a-Sketch and then you just erased all that information. So we want to keep that information and then flip the left wrist around 180 degrees, micro bend in the elbow, and start to take counterclockwise circles around that left wrist. Notice if you're putting all of your weight into your knees now and press into the tops of the feet. So I know it's a little dark and shadowy towards the back of my mat, but my feet are completely pressed down into the mat. Going all the way around, again, imagining that clock face. Or if you want to, you can imagine that now, since we're going counterclockwise, that you're moving around the bases of a baseball diamond. And then come back through center and take it clockwise around this wrist. Again, looking forward. So if you look down, you round your spine. You're also looking back into your past. We want to look out to what's in front of us. Sun is shining here. I see some people riding their bikes, which is nice. What do you see out in front of you in your future? And that's a metaphor in case you have a wall in front of you. You didn't get that. Plug the left hand in. So coming back to your tabletop, we did a little bit of work for the wrists. Now we're going to do a little work for our ankles and our feet. Tuck your toes and come to sit back on your heels. If you have a block or if you have a pillow, you might want to take this. You can sit all the way back onto your heels, or you can place that block in between your heels of your feet and the heels of your butt or your buttock bone. We are going to do a breath of fire here. If anyone is pregnant, you will skip the breath of fire. Just stay here. We're going to have the arms up. You can just breathe normally. So if you're new to breath of fire, it's a sharp exhale out through the belly, and it's meant to be a fiery and agitating and irritating breath. So this might heat you up. You might already start to feel some heat from sitting on your feet, but hopefully the breath will start to distract you. So arms reach up into a V, hands form little cups, and then you'll close your eyes. We'll all take a deep breath in together. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale halfway, and then you'll begin to pump the breath. So it's all on the exhale. So you're going to keep going even when it feels challenging, even when it feels difficult. If your eyes are not closed, this is a great time to close your eyes. If stuff is flying out of your nose, great. That's kind of the point of this. We want to get stuff out, 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 out. Let's go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Reach your arms up, hook your thumbs. I know your feet are talking to you. Mine are too. Go down to your pelvic floor, squeeze it in and up. And then imagine the breath shooting out the crown of the head like you're popping the cork to a champagne bottle. Release yourself down to the mat, remove your block, untuck your toes. This is the one time you can kind of shake it out. You can tap the tops of your feet onto the mat. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you. Hello, feet. And then keeping your toes untucked, come to sit back on your heels. So for many people, if you have sensitive knees, you might start to feel this in the knees, but ultimately this is really going to help you with a lot of the postures that we're doing today. So I encourage you to push past, not push, but go to that point of resistance, go to that point of discomfort and be there. If something is sharp, painful, or like excruciating, maybe you back off, but let's play with that line of discomfort. And then start to shift your weight back. You can lift the knees up slightly. We're opening up this top of the foot, the top of the ankle, which is also connected to this front hinge of the hips. So when we start to do our lunging later, this is going to help us here. So lifting the knees up. If this is enough for you, you can stay right here. Again, play your edge. You're the only one who knows that. Especially since I can't physically be with you all right now, you have to be a teacher to yourself. But if you want that little extra edge, you can lift the knees. You can even try and get a little hang time here, but you do want to find a back bend. So you want to lift up the heart versus rounding just to grab for the knees. Awesome. Come forward, press your palms into the mat, and then tuck your toes. We're going to come back into a downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, the way that I teach dog is a Katonah style dog, and it might be a little different from a vinyasa or power class that you've been to. So I'm just going to break it down quickly. Even if you've been to class with me before or you know this style of practice, it's helpful to go through the measurement and to go through the, I guess, foundations anytime you're practicing. So come forward to a plank pose. Your shoulders will be over your wrists. Your heels will fire straight back. This is the measurement for your dog. Keeping your hands and your feet right where they are. Bend your knees, lift your buttock bones up. The heels stay up. So the heels are not totally hiked up, but they're definitely not pressing down to the mat, because when you press the heels down to the mat, you lock the knees, and it just keeps you from accessing the full potential of your legs, the full strength of your legs. So bend those knees, lift the buttock bones up, press yourself away from the mat. Imagine that you could lengthen out of your armpits, that you could lift slightly off of the heels of your hand. Really reaching up, lengthening out the spine. And then come forward to your plank pose once again, shoulders over wrists, heels reach back, and then send it back to a dog. So we're gonna move through these two postures, coming forward to plank, back to dog, forward to plank, and back to dog, creasing at the hips. And as you come forward, those heels still keep firing back. So the legs are really strong and engaged. I'm not flipping over the toes here. Good, and then next time you come forward, come all the way through to your upward facing dog. Keep the toes tucked so that you can fire the heels back, you can stay in the legs, and then pull your heart between your arms. Nice. Send it back to a dog. Let's pause in the dog here, finding all four corners. I'm gonna see what I can see on my little iPad. Nice. We've had some more friends join us. Hi, Jess. Good. So finding all four of your corners, all four of your legs and your arm legs, really rooting them down. And then lifting off. And then just notice where you're holding your weight. So you can casually take your right hand off the mat and see if that's really hard for you. Casually take your left hand off the mat, see if that's really hard for you. Maybe lift one foot up. It doesn't have to go up very high, just a few inches. The other foot up. Ideally, we are equally distributing the weight through all four limbs. Nice. Good. Come down onto hands and knees for a moment. Just take a rest, take a break. I don't know about you guys, but I'm already sweating a little bit since getting into those hips. It's where we store a lot of the waters of the body, and it can really build up heat. Also, I have a beautiful ray of sunlight on my face right now. Amazing. All right, come on back to a downward facing dog. One more time, let's come forward to a plank. Just all do this together. Drop your hips, modified upward facing dog. Heels fire back, heart lifts forward, and then send it back to your downward facing dog. Look forward to your hands. Actually, before we do this, we're gonna do a gentle twist. So step your feet in just a little bit. You're gonna come into a short downward facing dog. Keep the heels bent and the knees, or the heels bent and the knees lifted. The knees bent and the heels lifted. Reach your right hand for your outer left heel, coming into a twist. So you'll grab for that outer left heel with the right hand, and you'll start to look underneath your left armpit. Maybe the right knee can come into the right armpit. Both hips lift up. You're twisting around yourself. And then switch directions. Right hand comes down, left hand to right or outer heel. And it's important that you grab the outer heel versus the inner heel. One, it gives you better leverage and a better fit, like a glove and a mitt. Grabbing onto the heel, looking underneath the armpit, wringing yourself out. Beautiful. Come back to your dog. Walk it back out to a regular dog. So if you need to come forward and find your measure, do that. And then send it back to a downward facing dog. Look forward to your hands. Lunge your right foot forward to your right thumb. If you need to step the foot a second step to get it all the way underneath the knee, do that. But again, here we want to find a right angle. So right knee stacks right over right ankle. Drop the back knee down, untuck the toes. So top of the foot again presses into the mat. Walk the hands forward, so they're gonna come out into a V shape. Your belly finds your thigh, or actually kind of like the side of you finds your thigh, and your armpit finds your knee on that right side. Look forward once again. So notice if you have this tendency to kind of round in and let yourself go out. Imagine someone has like, I don't wanna say a hook, but like a gentle hook on your sternum, and they're pulling you forward. Now find your back foot and plug in through the whole spread of that back foot. Start to reach your arms forward and unfold yourself into a lunge. So you're in a low lunge. Many classes, they might call this Anjaneyasana, but it's a lunge. That back foot is plugged in, and what's important here is that the right knee is over the right ankle. This is keeping you in your joint space versus working all of your muscles. Go ahead and grab for opposite elbows above your head. Get a nice fit, ball and mitt fit of hand and elbow. And then as you let your pelvis drop, lift yourself up. Give yourself a little lift. So you can think your pubis is coming forward, your navel's coming forward, your sternum's coming forward, and this starts to come into a back bend. If you'd like to take it into the back bend, you'll interlace your fingers to the webbing, create a basket for your head, elbows go straight up. And instead of leaning back, you want to think that you're going up and over. Eventually those elbows point straight up towards the ceiling. Yeah, nice, Rebecca. Wrap those elbows in. It's like you're doing a little headstand on the ceiling. Beautiful. Bring your arms down. Plant your hands on the mat. Tuck your back toes. Step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to your plank. Drop your hips, modified up dog. You can always skip this, but I find it's a nice little break. And then send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath here and a breath out. Step your left foot forward to your left thumb. Drop your back knee down. If you have the camera where you can see it, or maybe you have a partner in the room with you, check to see that your knee is over your ankle and that you don't have, that you do have a 90 degree, that your heel is not too far forward or too far back. If your heel is too far back, ultimately this is going to give you a knee injury. So keep yourself safe. Untuck the back toes, plug that foot in, and then walk the hands forward. We didn't do this on the first side, but here, imagine that your left hip was drawing slightly back and your right hip was drawing slightly forward. Look forward once again. So pubis, navel, sternum forward, gazing out to what's in front of you, and use your imagination as if there were a clock behind you and you were trying to get your right hip to 3 o'clock and your left hip to 9 o'clock. From that place, reach your arms forward and up, coming into a lunge. As you let yourself sink into the lunge, also lift yourself up. Notice where your vision goes normally. Does it drop down? Do you disembody and throw your head back? Find a level gaze. So we always want the palate, or not always, but in this pose where we are right now, the palate should be parallel with your mat. And then grab for opposite elbows. Take the opposite elbow. Let your hips sink. Lift yourself up. Lift yourself up. So you're creating a little bit of buoyancy here. You're also closing the circuit by grabbing onto yourself, containing this energy within you. Interlace your fingers to the webbing behind your head if you want to come into the back bend. Elbows go straight up. I like to imagine I'm a little seal that I'm trying to balance a ball on top of my nose. That's just the image that I have here. And no matter what version of the pose you're in, plug down through that back foot. Especially, or at least for me, especially the pinky edge of that back foot. Take one more breath in, lift the lungs, and exhale, hands come down, step it back, downward facing dog. You can roll out to your plank, roll out to your upward facing dog, and then you'll find your way back to your downward facing dog. So nice. So nice. In your downward facing dog, really press through your palms, especially the knuckles of your hands. Many of us tend to sit in the heels of the hands, so press into the knuckles, lift up and out of your armpits. Beautiful. Good. We're gonna come through a few more lunges. So lunge your right foot forward to your right thumb. We've been here before. Drop the back knee down. Untuck the toes. Plug the top of the back foot in, and maybe you notice here, if it's really hard for you to get that whole foot down, you might be a little tighter in the front of this hip. So that footwork we did at the beginning would be really great for you. Again, make sure that the heel of the foot is underneath the knee. And then this time we're going to take it into a little twist. But before we twist, we want to lengthen. So walk your hands out. Once again, find your hips at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So that right hip is at 3, that left hip is at 9. And then the right hand is going to come inside of the right foot. The heel of the hand meets the heel of the foot, left hand to your lower back. First, lengthen up and out of your lower back. Find that connection of foot to hand and press your knee into your shoulder. This might be where you stay. Find that boundary. So your knee creates the boundary and keep that strong. If you want to keep going, you can reach that top arm up. The front of the palm turns towards the front of your mat. And then you keep using the knee into your armpit, the knee into your shoulder actually, to turn yourself up. Eventually your vision looks up, that right eye can even look up. Nice. And then notice where your hips are. See if you can keep them square at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock so that this twist is truly coming from your torso, that you're twisting around your spit, you're not just moving your pelvis. Nice, drop that hand down, left hand down, and then walk both hands to the opposite sides of your feet or just outside of your feet. And we're just gonna shift the hips back for a nice little runner's lunge. Flex the right toes back. You can walk your fingertips back. If you want this to be more dynamic, more active, you can move between these two shapes. Moving forward and back, again, just working in the hinge of your hips. Next time you're forward, stay forward, tuck the back toes, and step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward to your plank. Maybe come through to your modified upward facing dog, toes stay tucked. And downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Look forward, lunge your left foot forward to your left thumb. If you need to take 2 steps to get it to 90, that's okay. And then untuck the back toes, plug that foot in. Walk your hands out so that you can find length in your spine and find your hips at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So squaring off the hips. And then from that place your left hand inside of your left foot. Heel of the hand lines right up with the heel of the foot. So your arm meets your calf, your shin, and that left knee can press into the left shoulder. Lengthen out of your spine, start to open up towards the right side of your mat. Right hand can go to your lower back. Keep that right hip on its own side. Use your left knee to press your shoulder. Maybe you start to open it up. That right arm can reach up. Maybe your vision looks up. Keep plugging that back foot in and stay active in your legs. Breathing in here, breathing out. Using the left knee, press the left shoulder. Take one more breath in and then release. You can take that half splits, that runner's lunge, flexing your left toes back, moving forward and back, just really getting into your hips. I always like this, feels good. And then plant your foot down, plant your hands down, step it back, downward facing dog. Let's check out how we're doing in our dog here. Bend your knees, lift your buttock bones up, lengthen out through that spine. See if you can lift up the heels of your hands, maybe just for a moment. And if you can't, that might be a sign that you're relying a lot on your upper body to hold you up, which is not bad. It's not ideal. We don't want all of the weight in the upper body. We want to use the strength of our lower body, which is what we're working on today. Nice. Okay. Step your right foot forward to your right thumb. Last one of these. Keep the back heel up or the back knee lifted for now. The back foot is going to turn out into a warrior 1 foot, so 45-degree angle. Left foot points up towards the left corner of your mat. The hips stay at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So imagine that clock behind you. Find 3 with your right hip, 9 with your left hip. If you want to take it further, your tailbone, your coccyx behind you, that's 6 o'clock, and your pubic bone in front of you, that's midnight or 12, however you want to say it. Walk your fingertips out, find your long spine once again. And then same little move here, right hand inside of right foot, left hand to your lower back. This can also be a nice reminder, what are your hips doing? Are they opening up towards the side? That's just not what we're working for here. Let your left hip drop and then start to twist. Maybe like we did in the previous variation, you can lift that top arm up. Right knee presses right shoulder. If you feel a squish anywhere, you want to eliminate the squish. So if you feel a squish in that right kidney, that right lower back, pull that right hip back. Final variation for this one is to reach the left arm towards the front of your mat. so that your chin meets your armpit. And then you can keep pressing that right knee into your right shoulder. Maybe you start to look out in front of you. Having a revolution around the twist. Good, breathing in here, and breathing out. And then releasing down, step it back, downward facing dog. Hand to hand, foot to foot. If you want to come forward to your plank, you can come forward to your plank, back to your dog. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog to take the second side. And then we'll be done with these lunges. Left foot steps forward to left thumb. Keep the back knee lifted. Right foot out 45 degrees. If the twisting is just not for you today, work on the lower body. Work on what's going on in the lower body. Find that left knee over that left ankle. Walk your fingertips forward. Hips, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. See if you can create a little bit more space in your torso. Left hand inside of left foot, right hand to lower back. Start to twist yourself open to the right. Not by opening up your groin, not by opening up your pelvis, but by twisting around your spit. Keeping your lower body, your foundation stable so that you can have this beautiful revolution. You can stay right here with the right arm reaching up, or you can reach the right arm forward to the front of your space. Chin can come into your armpit or almost to your armpit, or you can start to look out in front of you, taking it into a little bit more of a back bend. So nice. So nice. Ah, I love that I can see you guys. All right, bring the hand down, step it back, downward facing dog. Take a moment, you can wave it out. You can just take a child's pose or a seat. You can take a sip of water. How are we doing? Everyone's in child's pose. Great. Awesome. So we did, like I mentioned, we're working a lot on the lower body today, and we're going to do that again in Friday's class if you're going to join that. We're making our way up. So in Katonah Yoga, we use this analogy as the body is a house. And when you're building a house, you start with the foundation. You wouldn't build a house without laying a foundation or making sure that there's a solid foundation. So that's what we're doing here. We're working on the strength and the flexibility of the lower body, and then we'll build from there. So let's come back into a downward facing dog. I promise no more lunges. We're gonna do some folds and work on a little bit of, we're still gonna be in the hips, but it might be different from hip work that you're used to. We're not gonna do any pigeons here today. So you're gonna walk your hands halfway back your mat and walk your feet halfway back your mat or forward on your mat so that you're in the middle of your mat, and then you're gonna turn towards one edge. Ideally, it's an edge where you can still see me, but if not, no worries, because I'm gonna cue you through it. And then you're gonna walk your feet out wider than your hips so that you are in a wide-legged forward fold. You don't want your feet as wide as they can go, and you also don't want them as narrow. They should just be slightly wider than your hips. And then put a little bend in your knees so that you can really feel that hip joint. You're not locking the legs and using all the strength in your upper body. You're allowing yourself to be in the strength of your lower body. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. And then just let yourself hang for a moment. You can grab for your feet. If you want to grab for your toes, you can. If you want to place your hands on the mat, that's great. Shift your weight a little bit forward and back. And just notice where you're holding your weight. Are you more back in your heels? Are you more forward into your toes? Nice. Good. And then we're gonna come up. But as we come up, I want you to resist the urge to do it all from your upper body and resist the urge just to lock the legs. We want to keep the knees bent, and you almost want to imagine you can stick the buttock bones out. You can stick the butt out so that you're in that hinge of the hips. You can bring your hands to your hips for this one. Look forward. Find that hinge of your hips and then start to come up. Start to come up. Keep the knees slightly bent. And then when you get to the top, you can straighten the legs. Don't lock the knees still. Reach the arms up, hook the thumbs overhead. Take a little stretch side to side. Take a little stretch side to side. Feel your feet beneath you. Keep that little bend in the knees. And then hands come to hips. Look forward. We're going to start to hinge down once again. So hands to hips, knees are bent. Stick your butt out and hinge forward. Stop when you're halfway. This is awesome. If you have a neighbor in front of you, maybe you give them a little bit more room. And then find that length in your spine. So it's like a table. If you look at Zoom, if you look at your video, you should see a nice flat back there. There's a rounding. That means you're still in your muscle. You're not in your joint space. So nice long spine. Bring your fingertips down, straighten your legs. Again, still keep a little bend in the knees, but they can straighten. You can grab for your ankles. You can grab for your toes, or you can just let yourself rest. Nice. Okay, you can keep with that variation, or we're going to move on to a little bit more challenging. So again, find your feet. Walk your fingertips out in front of you so you're almost in a little kind of awkward, short, downward facing dog. Bend in those knees. And then if you want to take the second variation, punch your arms forward so that they're right in front of your shoulders. You're extending this table. Hands are in fists. They're very punchy. And then you're going to stay here for a few breaths, finding all four corners of your feet, sticking your butt out, but also reaching your arms forward so you're lengthening out through that spine. And then keeping the energy in your legs. Start to stand up. Let there be a little bit of a back bend, and then stand all the way up. Keep a bend in your knees. Hook your thumbs. Stretch up. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. One more like that. Breath in and breath out. All right, we're going to come down the same way we came up. Punch your fists up, or you can bring your hands to your hips. Little bend in your knees and start to hinge forward. So it's really a hinge versus a round. So I'm hinging from the hips. I'm stopping halfway. This is the workout. Belly in, reach yourself forward. Imagine that someone was in front of you. Actually, if you do have someone in front of you, you can put your fists on them, or if you have a chair in front of you, you can put your hands on the chair or the couch or whatever it is. And then release down, straighten the legs, let yourself fold. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. All right, we're gonna do one more. This time we're gonna use an eagle wrap of the arms. So let's start by taking a little twist just to reopen up our shoulders. Your right hand will go underneath your nose, left hand to your lower back, gentle twist towards the side, maybe the left arm reaches up. Notice if you lock that right leg, keep the knee bent, pull that right hip up so the hips are still level. Good. And then drop the left hand down, reach the right arm up. Again, notice if you lock a leg, keep the knees bent, pull that left hip crease up so the hips are still at that 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then drop that right arm down, swoop it underneath your left for eagle arms. Again, you can take either of the variations that we took before. Bend in your knees, stick your buttock bones out. Lift your elbows up. Your chin can find that little nook above your left arm where your elbows are. And then you stay here, you reach out, you find your feet, you fight for it. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you've had enough, you come up by unfolding. By unfolding, you might get a little lightheaded here. Press your feet into the mat, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Nice. We're gonna come down the way we came up, except for we're gonna hook the opposite arm on top. So right arm comes on top, left arm under. Eagle wrap. And I'm grabbing the right hand with the left wrist and punching the right hand up. Is that right? Yeah. But you can also take a traditional eagle. I just find that this is a little bit more stable. Find the bend in your knees. Find the hinge in your hips. Lift your elbows up. Hook your chin into your arms if you'd like. You can swallow a few times to flush your thyroid. And then sit into, it's almost like a chair shape. Lift your elbows up. Spine is long. So hips go back, elbows go forward. Let's stay here for 3 breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Lifting those elbows up, really getting out of those shoulders. One more breath. And then release down. You can take a little stretch side to side. Just shake that out. Great job, everyone. Those are not easy. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Come back to your downward facing dog. Inhale forward to your plank pose. Maybe you take that modified upward facing dog. And then send it back, downward facing dog. Walk your hands into your feet into your hands. So again, you are in a forward fold. This time we're gonna take a forward fold, just a regular forward fold. Feet are hips width distance apart, so you can put 2 fists in between your feet. That's the measure of your hips. If you have a blanket or a little pillow, it's nice to place that underneath your heels so that you can stand on it. And then let yourself fold. So there's a bend in your knees, grab for opposite elbows, and allow yourself to hang over yourself. Again, we're doing a lot in the legs. So if you are feeling this, welcome to your lower body. As a society, we used to do a lot in our lower bodies. We used to squat around campfires. We used to be active, walking around all day, and now we don't. Even if you do run or cycle or do yoga, we often compensate with our more stronger upper body. So if you're sweating here, if this is challenging for you, great. You're working something new. Switch which arm is on top. Press down through all 4 corners of your feet and find that bend in your knees. Slight bend in your knees. Sorry, don't copy me. I'm just watching you. My voice doesn't project as well forward if my head is dropped between my legs facing the back of the room. If your legs are shaking, if you're sweating, awesome. Just stay here for another breath. And then release your arms. Keep your feet rooted into the mat. You're gonna slowly roll up. As you inhale, you come up. You can pause for an exhale. And then inhale, start to come up some more. Keep a little bend in your knees. Reach your arms up overhead. Hook your thumbs above your head. Hook your thumbs above your head. And then take a little stretch side to side. Again, keeping those knees bent. If you want to lift up one heel, the heel on the side that you're going towards, you can. And then come back through center. We're going to go down once again. Drop your arms, drop your head, roll all the way down. Once you're down, make sure that your feet are hips width distance and parallel. That means you're in joint space, so this is going to be more sustainable. 2 fists between the arches of your feet. And then another slight measurement adjustment that you can take is that the toes are slightly pigeon-toed. Almost indiscernible, but you want the outer edge of your foot, so the pinky side of your foot, to be parallel with your mat. Find all 4 corners of your feet. You can grab on for opposite elbows once again if you haven't already. Find all 4 corners of your feet. And then let's all shift our weight back into the heels and more forward into the balls of the feet. Back into the heels, more forward into the balls. And then find all 4 corners. So root down through all 4 corners. Equally distributing your weight between your heels, which is your past, you digging in, holding ground, and your balls of your feet, which is your future. It's a little more anxiety provoking. It's taking a risk. You want to be right here in the present. Nice. Good. For the last few breaths here, if you'd like, you can slide your hands all the way underneath your feet. I actually find this one easier because there's a connection. So sliding the hands all the way underneath the feet, the palms face up. You can take your feet a little bit wider if you need to. And I mean, but if you need to, if you're pregnant and you have a belly, you can take your feet wider. Everyone else's feet should be hips width distance. And then let your head and your neck drop. Let your belly release. Let your spine lengthen. Let gravity pull you down. Nice. Slide your hands out. And then slowly roll up once again. On the inhale, you can roll up. And then you pause as you exhale. Inhale brings you up. Take as many breaths as you need to come all the way up to the top. Reaching your arms up above you, hook the opposite thumb on top, so probably the one that feels a little awkward. Root down through your feet, take a side stretch, or you can just reach up. As you're reaching up, I'm gonna come down so you guys can see this. Notice, and this is a nice thing about having the camera, what your arms are doing. So sometimes we think we're reaching up and really our hands look like this and our arms look like this. So you want the arms to be straight. The elbows are not locked, but the arms are straight. The armpits rotate towards the heart and the fingers point straight up. Good. Once again, drop your hands, drop your head, drop your neck. One last time, we're gonna fold forward. So coming all the way down, you can take your time. Again, measuring out hips width distance. If you don't have a blanket or a pillow underneath your feet, maybe you grab that. Just giving yourself a little grace. So when you put your heels on a blanket, you put something underneath your heels, you're putting yourself on a downhill slope, and life is easier on a downhill slope. So give yourself that. This time, if you'd like, you can take either of the variations we did before, grabbing on for opposite elbows, reaching your feet reaching for underneath your feet, or you can take your hands around to cup your heels, as if your hands were mitts and your heels were balls. This one is, I would say, the most difficult. You really have to release the belly. You might need to bend the knees a little bit more. And then once you have that grip, lift the buttock bones up. Think your buttock bones go up, your heels go down. Again, we're not locking the legs here. We're keeping that little bend in the knees. Keeping a bend is like an and it allows you to access that full potential of the leg. These look great. So nice. Okay, one more time, we're gonna come up, release your feet, release your heels, root down through all four corners, slowly roll all the way up to stand, taking your time, taking as many breaths as you need. Reach the arms up, maybe you stretch a little side to side, or perhaps you just work on that lengthening up of the arms, straightening of the fingers, creating that strong center of you. And then drop the arms, and you're gonna come down to sit. Coming down to sit. Let's see if I can adjust this so hopefully you can see me a little better. We're gonna come into another fold, but this is gonna be a seated fold. If you have a blanket or a pillow, it's nice to put that underneath you. And if you have a block, it's nice to have your block or two handy. So what we're gonna do here is first find our sitting bones and find our center. We wanna be sitting up at a right angle, which means no rounding in the lower back. There's actually a slight arch in the lower back, so it's almost like your cow pose. So to do that, it helps to sit up on the edge of a blanket or a pillow and then pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. Your perineum, which is like your pelvic floor area, points straight down. Or if we want to be more anatomically specific, it's the place between your genitals and your anus. That points straight down. And then your feet are out in front of you. And once again, they're hips width distance in parallel. Notice what your feet are doing here. So maybe you didn't see it when you were folded forward standing, but perhaps one foot likes to go out or one foot doesn't point straight up. You can also start to see which side of the foot is stronger. Is the ball of the foot or the pinky side of the foot? You want to press forward through all four corners of the feet. The knees are slightly bent. They can be more than slightly bent, actually, if that helps you get on your spit, on your perineum more. And then you'll start to fold forward, lengthen out through your spine, belly to thighs. And then grab for your feet. So bend your knees as much as you need to right here to grab for your feet. You can scoot your heels forward a little bit more if you have that range. If not, just keep your knees bent as much as you need to. You can grab onto your block or your books or whatever you have to drop your forehead down, or you can even, another modification here is to bring your legs together, drop your head, and maybe it meets your knees. But if you start to feel that you're rounding your spine, that you're efforting, that you're muscling in to get your forehead to your knees, find something. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a pillow, I don't know what else. Grab a cushion off of your chair, place it there so that you can relax your face. You can relax your head. This is more of a restorative pose. A lot of the postures we've been working with today have been opening up. They've been a little bit more fiery, a little bit more intense. And this is the beginning of us going in. So keeping those knees bent, keeping your hands in contact with your feet, and then head can come onto your block or blocks or books or whatever that prop is. And we're going to start to bring things down. We start to move into our meditation and pranayama. And we'll begin the first exercise right here. So even if your head is up, again, you can bend your knees as much as you need to grab onto those feet. Pile up whatever you need to rest your head on something, but wherever you are, close your eyes. And then we're going to practice a breath wrap here. So this simply means that you are using your imagination to travel the body. You're using power of your mind, visualization, to map out a route with your breath. If this is new to you, just go with it. As you inhale, imagine the breath traveling up the backs of the legs, from the heels, up the calves, behind the knees, up the backs of the thighs to your buttock bones. And as you exhale, imagine the breath coming over your spine, falling forward like a wave over your spine, over your head, to your arms, your hands, your feet. Inhale, imagine the breath coming up the backs of the legs. Exhale, the breath comes over the spine, down the arms to the feet. Inhaling up the backs of the legs, lengthening out, creating more space. Exhaling over that hard shell of your spine. And then continuing this breath wrap, this cycle with your own breath, starting to create a cocoon for yourself. Holding sacred this moment, using the breath to help you be here in this space. Taking another round in and another round out. We're going to come up out of this into a back bend. So just look forward, keep your belly on your thighs. You can reach forward, you can grab for opposite elbows. Start to lift yourself up. Think pubis, navel, sternum forward as you lift up. Flex those feet so you stay active in your legs. Take a big breath into your lungs. And then exhale, release the hands. We're going to end in a seat like we began. So I'm going to recommend Virasana, hero's pose. So you're seated up on a block or your books or your blanket or your pillow. Pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. So yeah, you can really reach under there. Whenever I do this for the first time, people are like, so you pull your butt cheeks away. Yes, that's exactly it. And then find yourself plugged into whatever's beneath you. So if you're feeling like you're having to hold on, put yourself up higher. You can sit up on 2 blocks or whatever you have. Again, you can go find a chair. You just want to be at that 90-degree angle. And then rest your palms on your thighs. And once again, close your eyes. Today, we're going to practice a magic square meditation. Similar to the breath wrap, you are going to use your imagination to travel the body with the breath. And just listen to the sound of my voice and do your best to stay with me. Let's take a full breath in together and a full breath out. And as you inhale, imagine a golden thread, a beam of light, of energy coming down from the universe through your skull, through your throat, through your torso, out through that perineum, plugging into the earth, dropping down into that basement of you, that center of you, that's 1 in our magic square. For 2, you bounce up to the back of the head on the right. So travel up the front of the body to the back of the head on the right. 3, you continue that path around to your left shoulder, your left hand, also the space of your heart. 4, bounce up to your left eye, the front of your head on the left. This is your innocence of vision, looking out into the world. What's out there for me? For 5, you find the center of your chest. So you travel down to the center of your chest, your center. 6, you continue that trajectory to your right hip, your right leg, your right foot. 7, you bounce up to your right arm, your right hand. 8, you travel around your back once again and down to your left hip, your left leg, your left foot. 9, you go up the center, up the front to your third eye, that brow center. And then 10, imagine that you're drawing a circle around yourself, circling your circumference. We're going to go through this again a little bit faster. See if as we move between each number, you can keep the other points in your awareness. So we don't just go to 1 and forget about 1 and then go to 2. The purpose of this is to be in your body, to notice the places where maybe you don't like to go, where you often don't go, and to have more awareness in your full physical, energetic form. So 1, imagine a golden thread, a beam of light dropping down from the universe through your skull, through your throat, through the center of your chest, down out through your perineum into the earth, linking to you to the sky above you, rooting you down to the earth below you. That's 1. 2, you bounce up to the back of the head on the right. So you root down for 1, you lift up for 2, finding that diagonal. 3, travel around your back to your left shoulder, your left hand, your left arm, side of the heart. 4, travel up to your left eye. Maybe that lifts you up, looking out into the world. What's out there for me? 5 drops you into the center of your chest. You come back down into the center of your chest, the center of you, where you have your thoughts, your feelings, your reflections. 6, you continue down on that trajectory to your right hip, your right leg, your right foot. 7, you bounce up to the right arm, the right hand. 8, you travel around your back once again, finding the left hip, the left leg, the left foot. 9, you travel up your front to your third eye center. And 10, you draw a circle around yourself, circling your circumference. One more time. 1, you drop in through your skull, through your throat, through the center of your chest. 2, bounces up, back of the head on the right. 3, wraps around to your left shoulder. 4, bounces up to your left eye. 5, drops into the center of your chest. 6, roots you down to your right leg, your right foot. 7, you bounce up to your right arm, your right shoulder, your right hand. 8, travels around your back to your left hip, your left leg, your left foot. 9, comes up through center to your third eye. And 10, you draw a circle around yourself, circling your circumference. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. With your eyes still closed, allow yourself a moment here to notice what has shifted, what has changed. To notice what's the same. If your mind has wandered to the past or the future, drop it back into this present moment. The body is of the moment, the breath is of the moment, and you have these tools, the breath practices especially, that you can bring with you wherever you go. You can use with you wherever you are to drop you back in. On your next breath in, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Good job, everyone. Good job. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you all. If anyone wants to say hi, you can say hello. Let me just stop this recording. You can say hello.